Hey, and welcome to this video. We're going to be looking at how we can use the CSS Grid in a really simple way, but to build a really cool looking portfolio section for your website. Alright, so the CSS Grid is here, and you might have already seen my last video where I did on it, but that was me really exploring the grid. I was looking at it, trying to figure out how it worked because I'd never used it before, so I was fumbling around a little bit. By the end, I think I figured it out and made a pretty nice layout. With this video, I want to show you guys how you can make something nice using the grid that it doesn't have to be complicated. When I first started looking at the grid, there's so many properties to it. I thought Flexbox was bad, like this is just like, oh my goodness, you can name things, there's the rows, the columns, all the different properties, you can put on a bunch of stuff, and it can seem a little bit overwhelming. But the more I've played with it, I've realized it can be really, really simple and powerful at the same time. So that's what I want to look at in this video. The simplest way I figured out how to use it to make something that still looks really, really awesome. After this video, well, just in general, for the next at least like month, maybe 2 months, I want to spend more time on the grid. It's really cool. It's really awesome. It's where the future of layouts are going to be. So I do want to focus on it a lot. And it gets, I guess, more and more complicated as we go along. That's not to say that every video I do is going to be on the grid. There might be some other just random videos in there, but there won't be a long series for the next little while. But then maybe what I might do is once we've figured out the grid, once we're really comfortable with it, then I'll do a big long series where I build a full website, or at least a single big web page with it, like I've done with Flexbox and Bootstrap and other stuff like that. So without further ado, let's go.
Okay, so here's what we're going to be trying to build. This is just a simple thing with a sidebar on it that in our video will probably actually be on the top. I put a little media query in for that we'll see in a second. But this is the main thing that I want to be using the grid for. And there's other ways of achieving this, but I find the grid makes it really easy to do. So we're going to see how we can do that. And I'm going to turn on my guides here. And now I've put in all these guides. It's in Photoshop, so they're spilling out the sides, but the main area that's going to be my grid is this area right here. So we can see that the grid itself, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns, and we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows. And we're going to get something that looks a little bit like this, but it's going to be fully responsive. So that should be pretty cool. I've put some names in there, but we're not going to be using those names because it's not really going to be squares exactly, probably, just because if it is responsive, it won't really adapt, it won't stay a perfect square. There's ways we could also play around with that to make sure that they were, but in this case I think it'd be nicer that they expand properly with the screen. So let's go and look. Now I have done this using CodePen. So let's start with the HTML. I've already set some of the styles up on this because I really do want to focus mostly on the grid itself for this. So here I have a sidebar, which is this area at the top, and the reason it's my sidebar is, there we can go, we can see that it's actually a sidebar at large screens, and then just with some nav items in there, nothing too fancy, and then my main content area. So I have my main content, and then inside there I have my portfolio. The reason I did main content and then portfolio is just the idea of if this were a larger site, I go to my about page, I can still have a main content class that I don't need to play around with. And then my portfolio is really going to be what I'm using the grid on for this. I'm not using the grid to build the layout for the rest of the site on this. It's really just for that simple thing that I showed you with that square area that I did. And we're going to be building that out. But it's for making layouts, it's a really cool thing, and you're going to see how easy this is. So actually, let's just keep that like this. I think it's easier to see the code. And let's jump over to the CSS. I am using Sass to do this. So here I've imported my Google font. I've set up a whole bunch of variables. We're not going to worry about those too much, but if you come into the CodePen thing here yourself, you can check it all out in a bit more detail. The link is in the description. Some general styles here just to set up my colors and all of that. On my body, I have put a display flex. And the reason for that is, I know, people are wondering with Flexbox if the grid gets rid of Flexbox. It doesn't get rid of Flexbox. It is a tool that we can use in conjunction with Flexbox. And I thought it'd be easier because I don't have a three-dimensional layout here. I just have one, I have this on one side, this on the other side. And then when I go this way, it's one on top of the other. I don't have to worry about multiple boxes. I thought Flexbox made more sense for something simple like that. So my sidebar is just a flex at 20%, and then my main content is a flex at 80%. And that's it. It's nice and simple. And this just has padding of 10% to give me the space around. I have put a color on my portfolio items just so we can see them. Right now I'm just giving them a background color. The idea here would be you could have the text on top and then also give them a background image and put in a little link or something like that. Here, why don't we do a display flex as well? And then just do a justify content center and align items center, just to keep, that's going to put everything in the middle of each item. It'll look a little bit nicer. So before I can get into the portfolio items themselves, I do want to set up my whole portfolio. So I'm going to do portfolio, and we're going to do a display grid on there because that's the whole point of what we're doing. That shouldn't really change anything because we haven't set anything else up for it yet. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a height of 100%. Because there we go, I want it to take up the height of my main content area. I want it to be the same, minus obviously the padding here, but I want it to take up that full space. So right away you can see that works. If I take the display grid off, it doesn't work. So it's one of the nice things with display grid. Flex, I think, also would do the same thing, but with the display grid, the height property works the way you'd expect the height property to work. So 100% fills up its parent container, which is nice and handy. Now I need to build those rows and columns we looked at. So let's jump back to here. As I said, we have 5 columns and 6 rows. So that's really easy to set up. There's some new properties that you might not know. So we have grid template rows, and we have grid template columns. You can actually name your grid, your rows and columns as well, which is really, really cool, but you can't do it with Sass. Whether you're using SCSS or Sass, the naming of things involves the square brackets and it can't compile. I'm assuming it's going to eventually get fixed, but right now we can't name our rows and stuff. And for this example, it doesn't actually matter, but for other ones I plan on doing in the not too distant future, I might do it in regular CSS or cross my fingers that they update Sass in the meantime. So what I want to do here for my rows, it was 6 rows. So this is nice and easy. I can just do, because they're all going to be the same size. So I'm going to do repeat. And then I'm going to say repeat 6 times because I have 6 of them and how big I want them to be. So I could actually say like be 100 pixels each. And we could do the same thing on this next line. We're going to see it sort of, things are going to fall into place if I do this. There we go. So things are sort of falling into place. And if I wanted to make sure they're all perfect squares, I could do something like this where I'm giving them an explicit value. And let's just, so we can actually see them better. I'm going to do grid gap of 20 pixels. And that's just going to put a space between them. And let's just switch this really quick to 3 and 3. So you can see I have, well, 3 and 2, I guess. So I have 3 rows, 3 columns. So 1, 2, 3. Let's make this 2, actually. There we go. So right now I have 1, 2 columns and 3 rows, and you can see the space between them. As you can see, they are perfect squares, but I don't want them necessarily to be perfect squares, and because 100 pixels isn't responsive. I could obviously use percentages, but one of the nice things about this, so I wanted this to be 6 and 5. Instead of using pixels or percentages or anything else, there's a new unit called the fraction, 1FR. And it pretty much means fill up any available space. Whatever available space is there, use it. So it's a nice responsive unit because it's filling up all the available space, and that's it. It just takes up any space it needs to. So it's a really, really handy unit. The FR unit, just each of those is going to be the same because they're all 1FR. And so they're all taking up the same amount of space and they're just adapting to the size they need to be. So for my portfolio, I believe that's it. So the main portfolio is done. Now we need to work on some of our portfolio items. I'm going to come back up though. I have given them names. Whoops. Let's go back down. So let's go ahead and take a look just really quickly at the HTML here. And we can see that what I've done is I have medium, large, medium, small, tall, and wide. So just go look here at my Photoshop design for a second. This is a normal, medium, I should say. So medium, large, medium, small, tall, and wide. And let's go and put those in now. So what I'm going to say is my portfolio item, and I'm going to do an ampersand. So any portfolio item that has a class of medium is going to get these specific things. And if you don't know what the ampersand is, if you're coming from the world of regular CSS, this would just be the same as writing portfolio item medium, just like that, no space, because let's go back, I'm not putting a space. If I put a space, it would be like having a space. But the ampersand just replaces whatever this is because it's nested inside. So my medium one, let's go look at what my medium one looks like again. So my medium one is taking 2 rows, and it's 2 columns, I should say, as well as 2 rows. So let's shrink her down. So that means that my medium one is going to have a grid row, and it's going to span 2 rows. And it's going to have a grid column. I'm going to span 2 of these. So now it's going 2 across and 2 across. You can see it's double the width. Here it's taking up 2 of the normal ones, and its height is also taking up 2 there. So that's really, really handy. Now I could actually start these at a specific place. I could say start at the 3rd line. Now I'm going to screw things up a little bit there. If I do it like this, oh, that's my row. Whoops, it's going to make more sense, I think, if I do it on my column. So I'm going to do 3 over span 2. So what this is saying is you have to start at the third part. So we have 1, 2, you're starting at the 3rd column and you're spanning 2 columns. That means though that all of them are going to start at the 3rd column, and it just creates this big empty space and they sort of stack on top, and it's kind of awkward looking because it's going 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and then 5 and 6. Anyway, it's kind of weird. But you can specify really where things are starting as well. But this is a nice simple case because we're not going to worry about starting and finishing. We just want everything to sort of slot and spill into place. So my medium is done. Now what I can do is we'll do my large. My small doesn't actually even need anything, but so we'll do my grid row, the same thing. And in this case, I want it to span 3. And my grid column, I want it to span 3. And there we go. My big one is spanning 3 here. So we can see it's going 1, 2, 3 of those. And it's going 3 down. So this one was originally 2, and then this one is 2, so it's going halfway. So it's taking up 3 height, 3 wide. It's awesome. The small one I don't actually need to do, but I'm going to put it in anyway. I might as well keep them in order. So this shouldn't actually change anything. Grid row span 1, grid column span 1. So nothing will change there, but I just like having that in just in case if someone was looking at my code and they wondered what small was, at least they can find something and understand it. So I have my large. Next, we want my dot tall. Oops, and I forgot my ampersand. These, I don't really need these to be it doesn't have to, it would work just as well like this. And I'm not usually a big fan of actually doing things like this, but I found in this case it sort of made more sense, just in case maybe on my about page I have some sort of weird grid and it's going to be different from this one, and I want to use these tall and wide and all of those different things. I thought that it made sense here, so that's why I did it. Okay, with that out of the way, my grid row, it's a tall one, so it was a span 2 because that's fit with my medium. Whoops, I didn't spell grid properly. Grid row. And so you can see there, it has doubled in height. Oh no, sorry. This is a tall one, so it should be 3 tall. And it's also going to be a grid column span 2. And the last but not least is my wide. So my wide, we can do a grid row, and in this case it's span 2 because it's too high, and then my grid column, I think you get the idea by this point, span 3. And it fills up all that empty space, and it looks really good. Now one thing, just as a bit of a disclaimer here, if you put these the other way around, sadly it doesn't just like magically swoop in and fill in that empty space, which would be really cool if it did. before I mentioned you can tell things where they should be going. So this is my tall. Yeah. You also see the height is off now because my grid itself, it was stopping here. It doesn't know how big the next grid item would be, and it's not actually auto creating one. So it is making it taller, but it didn't know how much taller to make it, so it just gives it this little arbitrary height on it, which is probably the same 20 pixels we had here. So there is like this implicit grid, but anyway, we won't get into that for this one. I just want to show that you could move it up, but I wouldn't do it with something like this because this is tall. It should technically be a generic term that I could put onto any of these. But on my row, 1, 2, 3. If I did a 3 over span 3, oh, it wasn't what I expected it to be. But you can see it's completely moved. Would that be a 4 then, maybe? Not what I expected either. We'd have to go with our column 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. So you could move things around and position them exactly where you want them to be, but it can be a little bit hard, especially if you're just numbering it. This is where the naming of things can be a lot easier because you can say start at the start line or my middle line or my top or bottom, and you can actually specifically name where things should start and where things should end. The same with this. I don't have to use a span 3. I could say go from, this is my row, so from 4 to 6. And it's going from 4 to 6. I think that's because that's, anyway, 7 I guess would be the very bottom. Yeah. So you can also say start here and end here, but I find the span option a lot easier. And yeah, I just wanted to show that you can move things around and get them to be exactly where you'd want them to be. And I just screwed all that up. Why is it not working now? Oh, because I switched the order of these. Yeah, let's go put those back. And now let's go and actually, just to show you what we could do with this, if you wanted something like this to be an actual portfolio that you have on one of those. So let's say 2, I'm going to give this a name now too. Let's just call this one 1. Let's do the big one. It's a big picture. It's nicer. 2. Yeah, and just to show you, it is, it's gonna shrink and grow, and you could always build media queries into it as well, but it is going to be fully responsive, which is really nice. So now if we go down, and I could say .2, and I probably wouldn't actually call it 2, but my portfolio item 2, I could give this a background image, and I'm just going to use a URL from Unsplash it. I don't really, let's say 800 pixels by 600 pixels, background size cover, background position center. Actually, let's just for something fun here, let's say top left. Top left, yeah, I want to do top left. Let's also give this a background color of black, and then a background blend mode of, what should I do? Multiply. Cool, good. And a color maybe of white, just so we can actually see the text. Color light gray, maybe, is what I called it. There we go. So we can actually see the text. And again, I should probably have a link in here, so when you go, you could actually click on it or something. But now what we could do is, on the hover, we could have it do, what could we have it do when we hover? Let's change the background blend mode to none. Let's have the background position change to center. We should probably animate all this too, right? Transition all ease in out 300 milliseconds. Let's just see what that looks like. Why is it just moving up and down? I can't do back initial? Maybe? Oh, no, you can't. I thought you... That's annoying. That looks like crap. Top left. Oh, it must be filling up the whole space. Background size. What if I just did like 2? Or actually, cover. Background size 150%. Yeah, I don't like that at all. We can't play with backgrounds as much as I thought we could. What if I just changed... it's not going to work the way I wanted it to. Okay, well, we can do the same thing, though. I'm going to take that off and that off. And have at... Or not at, and before. Or actually, this should be an after. Because I want to be after the text. No, I want to be before the text. At before content is nothing. Yeah, this makes sense. Content is nothing. Display is block. Background is black. Position is absolute. Top 0. Right 0. Bottom 0. Left 0. And I just broke everything? Oh yeah, that means this should also be position relative. Cool. So it's covering it, and then I just need to change opacity of like 0.8. My color white. Oh, it is covering that. The picture moving doesn't bother me, but it's not moving enough. And hover before opacity of 0.2 maybe. And transition all ease in out 300 milliseconds. There we go. So you get that nice little hover on there. I just want that text though. And again, that would be something you could click on and actually go and see what it is. We just want to make that more visible, right? So my light gray. What if I just did a Z index of 0? Z index of 10. Ah, there we go. -1 would do it. I can take that one off then. Whoop. Or not. Okay, whatever. I'll leave it on. And last but not least, and before hover, and let's just add and hover on this one too, because I can't see the text now. Color is black. Oh, I still can't see it. Forget that. Color and text shadow of... Yeah, text shadow should be fine. Text shadow of 0, 0, RGBA. Black is just 0, 0, 0, 0.5. How much am I blurring it by? Whoops. 3 pixels blur. Do I not have it? Whoops, I forgot my semicolon. Let's make that a bit bigger. And last but not least, portfolio item, font size. Let's just make it bigger. 2M. Probably too big for the small one, but at least I can read it. 1.5. There we go. When you hover over, you can see the picture a little bit better. And now you have a nice looking portfolio that obviously needs a link in there. The text could be the link. They go on top of the text. You could even have the fancy text effect on it. If just your text is the link, you could even give that a position absolute, so it's filling up the whole space, and that's the background that's changing on it. Whatever you want to do with that. But it's a nice, quick, easy way to do a cool layout. And then when you're bringing in different items, you can play around with those items a little bit to have them look a little bit different, or different sizes and different things. If you have 3 new things to add in, you could easily just, very easily, actually, let's go back to here. Say you had 3 new portfolio items you wanted, or let's say you had 2 portfolio items, and I went with a wide. So we're gonna add another wide one and another medium one. We'll ignore the numbers that are in there. So say you added 2 more in because your portfolio got bigger, and then you could just come in to your portfolio and say, now I have more, because I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I now need 8 rows. And like magic, it just all of a sudden adapts to what you need. So again, if I wanted to add more, I just have to come up into my rows and add. Or if I wanted to squeeze more stuff in the sides, say this was just getting really long and I wanted to get more stuff coming, adding a new there in the columns, I could easily just bump that up to 7 at one point. It's going to break everything in the time being, but as I add my content, I just have to play around with it and I can adjust it on the fly. This was originally 6. 5. I had 5 columns. There we go. So yeah, really, really cool. The grid is awesome. This is just a really simple example where we're using the repeating. You could definitely build a really nice, simple layout using the grid or complex layouts. It's a really cool thing. So if you like this, I would really encourage that you dive deeper into it and learn as much about it as you can, because it's really, really, really cool.
And that's the CSS Grid. I hope you liked the video. Before I get into my whole ending spiel, I just want to say once again thank you to Kaher and to Angelique, who have been supporting me on Patreon. If you want to join those guys and help support this channel, go check out the Patreon. The link is down in the link below. If you find a lot of value from what I do here and you want to support me in another way, head on over there. You can donate as little as $1 a month, and it really does help. If you want to support this channel in other ways, just leave comments down below, hit the like button to let me know that you liked it, and of course share the video if you found it interesting. Of course, if you do have any questions or comments about this specific video, don't be shy, leave one down below and I'll be glad to answer it. And until next time, don't forget, try and make your corner of the internet just a little bit more awesome.